Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. South Africa's new Trade and Industry Minister, Webb Davies, is promising a higher impact industrial policy plan by early next year. The new plan will seek to deepen the country's manufacturing base. We are joined by Engineering News editor Terence Creamer, who will tell us more about the new plan. Terence, welcome to Second Take. The Department of Trade and Industry launched the Industrial Policy Framework only in 2007. Is Minister Davies now going to start all over again?
No, he's not going to do that, and the relief was palpable for all to see. He's going to stick with the overall architecture of the National Industrial Policy Framework, which he says, he admits, has got some number of weaknesses with it, but he wants to move ahead, and what's going to be reviewed is the Industrial Policy Action Plan. And he's promising a far higher impact version of this plan, saying that the low-hanging fruit has been plucked already, and we now need to do the more difficult work of industrial policy and rebuilding South Africa's manufacturing base.
What are some of the likely elements of this new higher impact plan?
Well, I think the key element, new elements, it's not entirely new, but the key emphasis is going to be on the industrial inputs into the 787 billion infrastructure program that's currently underway in South Africa. There's a feeling that not enough has been done to really crowd in manufacturing around that program, and that's going to be a major focus of the new plan. Minister Davies has emphasized that we need to reduce the import component of this plan from 40 to 30%, saying that unless we do that, actually the investment program itself is going to come under pressure, given South Africa's large and chronic current account deficit, which we saw has now risen to 7% of gross domestic product. The other elements of the new revised work will probably be around a less parsimonious, I'd say, industrial financing regime. So a little bit more incentives for industry cross-cutting, and then specifically on the sectors that have been chosen, the automotive, the transport and capital goods, the forest products, the chemicals. There's going to be additional support that I think we're going to see coming through. Already he's noted that the catalytic converter industry and heavy commercial vehicles are going to be included in the replacement scheme for the MIDP, the Motor Industry Development Program, from 2012. So it's going to be those sort of elements, scaling up the infrastructure side of things, giving a little bit more industrial financing certainty and clarity, as well as very targeted things within the sectors.
Now, there's much talk about protectionism. How does this relate to South Africa's trade policy?
Well, I think that is a key point. We are looking at our trade policy dimension of this industrial policy framework. I think the big change is that we don't want trade policy any longer, so the trade policy tail wagging the industrial policy dog. So we're going to say front and center is industrial policy. We're going to set our objectives around that, getting the manufacturing base working again. But and part of that is going to be a review of our tariff policy, I think. I don't think we're going to see a blanket raising of tariffs to bound tariff levels under the commitments made to the WTO or the World Trade Organization. But I think we could see, on an evidence-based process, some of our tariffs rising again, which we haven't seen for the past 15 years.
What will happen in the interim between now and early next year when we get this high impact policy plan, given the state of distress that some of these sectors highlighted for specific support are currently in?
Yes, I think work can't stop, and we are going to see that especially for distressed firms and sectors, there's going to be some announcements soon. We've already heard from the Industrial Development Corporation that they have set aside $6 billion over the next 2 years to support these distressed firms. They're focusing on the firms, not on the sectors. And that is quite a big part of, for instance, this year they're going to be distributing or approving 11 billion rand. And it's quite a big part of their bigger distribution that they're going to be making, or approvals they're going to be making. But then on this more cross-cutting side, I think we are going to see some sector plans, especially for clothing and textiles, which is really under distress, automotive components, and a few others.
Thank you very much. That's the show for today. Thank you for watching, and join us again next week for more news analysis.